Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining today's discussion on Bhagavad Gita. So we'll start with doing some kirtans. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Srinivas Govinda Jaya Srinivas Govinda Jaya Srinivas Govinda Jaya Srinivas Govinda Jaya Prahlad Narsimha Jaya Prahlad Narsimha Jaya Prahlad Narsimha Jaya Prahlad Narsimha Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री श्री नित्याय गौरांग की जय। श्री श्रीनिवास गोविंद की जय। श्री प्रहलाद नरसिंहदेव की जय। जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्याय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna, thank you for joining. Before we start, we'll invoke the auspicious name of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll be discussing from the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 23. So this 16th chapter, the title is Krishna is talking about the divine and the demoniac natures. So in the previous verses, as you know, we have discussed earlier, so Krishna is talking about various demoniac mentalities, and just few verses before, he says that actually the there are three gates to hell. He says lust, anger, and greed. And he says everyone should actually give this up, or else they will cause degradation of the soul. And then he says, one who has escaped these three gates of hell, then he performs acts which are conducive to self realization and then gradually attains the supreme destination. So, and this verse here, Krishna talks about what will happen if one disregards these scriptural injunctions. Right? So, I'll read the verse a few times and then we'll read the purport and we'll discuss further. So, 16th chapter, text 23. यशास्त्रविधिं मुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिम् अवाप्नोति न सुखं न परां गतिम्. I'll repeat. यशास्त्रविधिं मुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिम् अवाप्नोति न सुखं न परां गतिम्. I'll repeat once again. यशास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिम् अवाप्नोति न सुखं न परां गतिम्. Synonyms, the word meanings. Yaha, anyone. Shastra vidim, the regulations of the scriptures. Ustrujya, giving up. Vartate, remains. Kama karataha, acting whimsically in lust. Na, never. Saha, he. Siddhim, perfection. Avapnoti, achieves. Na, never. Sukham, happiness. Na, never. Param, the supreme. Gatim, perfectional stage. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. But he who disregards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Purport. As described before, the Shastra Vidim, or the direction of the Shastra, is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed, and desire, then he never will be perfect in his life. In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and follow the regulations given for elevating his life to highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then and there that he can attain the highest perfectional stage, not otherwise. The word kamacharataha is very significant. A person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden. Still, he acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, but still he does not do it. Therefore, he is called whimsical. Such persons are destined to be condemned by the Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot have the perfection which is meant for the human life. The human life is especially meant for purifying one's existence, and one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real stage of happiness. The sense of purport. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने. नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So Krishna is saying here, this is almost the last but one verse in this chapter. So he's Lord Krishna is actually kind of concluding, and he's making a concluding statement. He's saying, yes, Shastra Vidim Ustrudya Vartate Kama Karataha Nacha Siddhim Avapnoti Na Sukham Na Param Gatim. He's saying, Yaha means anyone, Shastra Vidim Ustrudya. Shastra Vidim. Shastra means the rules and regulations in the scriptures. Yes, Shastra Vidam Ustrujya. Ustrujya means giving up. So one who is not following the rules and regulations given in the scriptures. Vartate Kamakarataha. Vartate means he remains. And how does he remain if he is not following the rules and regulations? He is acting whimsically in lust, kama. Kama krodha. Kama lust actually drives a person to do, various things that a person is doing. It is that lust, that desire, that inherent craving to satisfy a particular desire, that is lust, the strong desire. So kama karataha, so he's not following the rules and regulations. What will he do? He will act whimsically out of lust. So what is their situation? One who does not follow rules and regulations and acts in the lust. Krishna is saying, na saha siddhim avapnoti. Siddhim means perfection. So Lord Krishna is saying he won't attain perfection. And na sukham. He says na sukham. Sukham also, even happiness also he will not attain. And then he says na param gatim. Neither param gatim means param means a supreme. Gatim means perfectional stage. He won't attain the highest perfectional stage also. So this is the situation. People think these rules and regulations, why are these to be followed? They are so inconvenient, and they seem to be restricting us very much. Why not let us do whatever we want? Why these rules and regulations and these scriptures, right? Krishna is saying, well, those people who think like this and who don't follow, what is their situation? They will act out of lust whimsically, and they won't attain perfection, and they won't attain happiness. They won't attain the supreme destination. So what happens? Human life actually becomes a waste. This whole life will become a useless effort. Why? If one is not attaining perfection, one is not attaining even happiness. Everyone is working hard to be happy, but the problem is no one knows how to be happy. And that is why Lord Krishna comes and gives this Vedic knowledge. And he spoke this Bhagavad Gita because ultimately everyone wants to be happy, but they don't know how to be happy. And then na param gatim, not will they attain the supreme destination. So this word shastra, we have to understand. The word shastra, Srila Prabhupada explains, comes from the word shastra, shasdhatu. Shastra means to rule, like the weapons. The names they're known as shastra. With the weapons, the kshatriyas rule. Isn't it? So in the same way, shastra is also coming from the same shasdhatu. That means it is a ruling, it is regulation. It is These are rules and regulations. These are guidelines. These are the ruling principles for human life. So the word shastra, the rules and regulations are provided for the human society. Now, these Vedic scriptures, these shastras, you can't apply for animals. You can't pick a particular animal and says, oh, as per the regulations, as per Manu Samhita, or as per this particular Veda or this Upanishad, this has to be done. You can't hold any animal accountable to follow this. No, animals cannot follow. They don't have the advanced level of intelligence that humans have. These rules and regulations, this guidance, are for human beings only. Then we might think, why is only for humans so many rules and regulations? See, human being is born with advanced intelligence, and intelligence can only be utilized when there is proper knowledge. Intelligence is driven by knowledge. Improper knowledge leads to improper intelligence, or lack of knowledge leads to no intelligence. A person who is not intelligent, it is actually because he doesn't know. He doesn't have enough knowledge. As knowledge increases, naturally a person will become more intelligent. Why? He understands more and more, and he will be able to make the right decisions. So these rules and regulations are for human society. Like, the humans are designed with an ability to absorb this advanced knowledge and live actually harmoniously and achieve perfection. There is a purpose of human life. For animal life, unfortunately, there is no real purpose. They are very much driven by their instincts. They're hungry, they will eat whenever they find whatever. They're sleepy, they will fall asleep. They'll sleep wherever they want. You know, or they're these four principles: ahara, nidra, bhayamaithunam cha. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. These are the samanya vedat, pashuhi nulanam. So between the humans and animals, these four things are common: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But for humans, also the same instincts are there. But then it says that if humans are not following these rules and regulations, they're as good as animals. So the animals are driven by the instincts. The humans also have these instincts, but they have an ability to regulate these instincts, to control these instincts. Prabhupada gives an example. If a guest invites, somebody invites a guest to their home for dinner, and generally, the dinner time, it's been long, they had lunch. The guests most probably, they'll be almost in time for dinner, right? They'll be hungry actually by the time they arrive. And they enter the house, and the host has made nice arrangements. They can see that, on the whatever counter or a dining table, nice foodstuffs are arranged. There are some sweets, there are some appetizers, there is some main course meal. They can sense the smell also. The smell is coming, right? And they know that, oh, some nice items have been prepared, and they have just been invited. They're sitting, and they're chatting. They're just talking for a few minutes, and they're making the dinner table ready so that they can have dinner. Now there is hunger, right? This guest who has come, let's say he's very hungry, and he's eagerly waiting. Okay, when will they arrange for the dinner? I want to eat, and then we can talk again relaxed. But what does the guest do? He waits, right, till the dinner table is arranged and everything is prepared. So what is he doing? He has a strong instinct. There is hunger. There is an instinct. The body, the force demand of the body is there, that I want to go, I want to eat something real quick. But he has an ability to control his instincts, and he's waiting. And he knows he's hungry. He knows it's getting ready. It's just a matter of few minutes wait. And then after some time, when it's all arranged, he will go and he will sit, and they will all have the dinner, right? It's the same thing. The whole family, let's say family has come, nobody will immediately, oh, I'm hungry, and get up and say, oh, there is seems to be food here. Then grab some food and start eating, not even putting in a plate or anything, just grab with the hand, stand there around, grab more food and eat. They don't do that. Why? But if you bring an animal, let's say they have a pet dog or something, and it's very hungry, and it sees food, what will it do? Immediately it will jump toward the food, and it will start eating. Or if there is a leash holding the dog or something, the owner will struggle very hard. Hold on, wait, let them make arrangement. But the dog, out of its hunger, it runs and tries to grab the food and eat. So though the instincts are there in human and animals, the animals have no ability to control any instincts. They just go. But the human has ability to control these instincts. So the advanced intelligence is given so that we can control our senses and regulate our activities. Now, why are these regulations there? Why not there for animals? And why only there for humans? Because the purpose of human life is different than the animal life. Animal life actually, it is a condemned life. When one is condemned, one has accumulated some bad karma, it is like a punishment. They're put in an animal body, and the animal is just living its life as per its karma. It is destined to an animal life. Actually, even human life is filled with suffering, and it is especially said the animal life is filled with a very strong sense of suffering of fear. Prabhupada says you observe any animal, you go to the zoo, or you observe any animal from your household. It could be a bird or a dog or a cat or something. They're always very fearful. The dog, if you're walking nearby, suddenly starts barking. It is fearful. It thinks somebody is going to attack me, and it's trying to use its defense mechanism. The birds, if they're eating some seeds, before one seed they eat, they're looking always here and there. Is some predator, a predator coming to attack me? Will I become a prey of another animal, right? And then even a cat or a dog, whatever you see, they are full of fear. There's always fear. They run away, they here go hither and thither. So it is actually a condemned life. It is a life filled with fear. Can you imagine if there is a fearful situation? Let's say you get a phone call and say, we have understood, so and so we are targeting you, and you pay this much money, or else, or somebody says, there is a business enemy or something has targeted you and you could be killed any moment now. How much fearful existence it will become? Every moment you're scared. You're looking around, how are they going to attack me? What is this going to happen? So living with a constant fear is actually a very hellish existence. People, they go crazy, they go mad because of the fear. So unfortunately, animal life is filled with fear. It is a punishment, and there is nothing the soul in the body of animal can do. It only has to live by its instincts, and just wait for the duration of the life to be over. The human life is different. Even though the instincts are there, the human life, the purpose of human life is to actually attain perfection, siddhim. What Krishna is saying here, siddhim, you know atato brahma jignasa. There is so many instructions given in even Krishna himself says, Bhagavad Gita, that manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. Siddhi, again, is using the word siddhi. So the siddhim is very important. One should attain perfection. And what is this perfection? This perfection is to actually free oneself from the cycle of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. And it is generally in the Vedic scriptures, the perfection is said, it is a four-staged perfection: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma, first follow the rules and regulations given in the scriptures. Artha, right? You attain some wealth and your opulence. Kama, you fulfill your desires, but then ultimately work towards moksha. You attain finally perfection. You attain liberation. And that is what this, how is this rules and regulations provided? As Prabhupada is saying here in the purport, they are provided by the process of varnashrama dharma. The society is classified into four categories. The four, categories of people based on their guna and karma. Chatur varna maya srushti guna karma vibhagasha. Krishna says the four varnas are there. What is this? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. These four varnas. It is not like a caste system and some kind of a discriminatory system. No, it is a very scientific division. The society, Prabhupada used to explain, just like a human body or a body, requires head, it requires shoulders, it requires belly, and then it requires the legs also, right? For a human body to function properly, you need all of this. So in the same way, the society on the whole, if it needs to function properly, it requires all this. It requires the head department, it requires the shoulder, the arms department, it requires the belly department, it requires the leg department. What does that mean? So the Brahmanas are Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. They're well versed, they're educated in the Vedic knowledge, and they're considered the head of the society. The head will has to direct the society. Just like if a person has to go from a place to a particular place, the head is the one that first analyzes and sees, okay, what is there from here to I need to go there. Is there anything blocking my path? Is there anything I need to do? What path do I take? I should go first left and right and then adjust and go, right? The head gives the direction. So the Brahminical society, the people who are not, not the Brahmana caste, not one who is born in it. That's why Krishna very clearly says, Chaturvarna Maya Srishta Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Guna, the quality, and karma, the activities. When they match, only a person is a Brahmana. That means he has to have the qualities of a Brahmana, and he has to act as a Brahmana. He should have become well versed in the Vedic knowledge, and he should have been practicing all the the principles of Brahminical life. And only then, if he's acting in that particular way, you can call him a Brahmana. But unfortunately, as time went by and these principles were lost, it became a caste by birth kind of a system. Prabhupada gives an example like a high court judge. You can't make the son of a high court judge a high court judge. He has to attain the qualification. He has to act in a particular way. Like today, any high court judge, no, nobody has become that just by his birth, right? Right. He has to acquire the qualification and he has to act in a particular way. It is a scientific position. So in the same way, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they all have to acquire the qualities and they have to act in a particular way. And in general, in the society, everyone is inclined towards one of these things. Somebody is very inclined in knowledge, acquiring knowledge, and applying knowledge, very intellectual, born with a high level of intelligence. Somebody is born with in the mode of passion, who is very much interested in military arts and science and department of weapons and politics and things like that. One is inclined with those inclinations. Somebody is born with little less intelligence, not very much into deep knowledge and applications of knowledge, or into a very passionate to rule or to use weapons or political diplomacy. They just want simple, they want to earn some money, do some trading and things like that. So that is people born with the combination of modes of passion and ignorance. They are considered into the Vaishya category. They're businessmen, trading, and all those things they do. And the Shudras, who are not in any of these levels, they're little dull. They're not very much inclined. They just want to be given some work, and they're very happy doing that. Right? They're born with that mentality. So basically, the society, the Vedic civilization, was so intelligent, intellectual society that based on one's natural instincts and abilities, they get classified into one of these categories. And then what happens? All the intellectual people become Brahmanas. All the political, administrative, warrior class, they become Kshatriyas. The people who are interested in trading, business, and simple life, they become the Vaishyas. And people who are just, they don't want to do some work, they don't want to, they're not very intellectually interested to do any of these things, they become Shudra. So what happens? The whole society as a whole, the body of the society becomes strong. There is a good head, they're the Brahmanas. There's a good shoulders and arms, the Kshatriyas. There's a good belly, that's providing food for the whole society. And there are legs, where the the manual work that needs to be done, the Shudras. So this is not a social discriminatory mechanism to create some kind of hypocritical situation, but it's a very scientific division of the society, so it functions very nicely. And not just categories, just categorizing and functioning properly, what is the purpose of human life, right? Just categorizing them, yes, it solves one problem, that a person born with a particular instinct is able to work in a particular way. But then what is the use of all this work? For what is the ultimate purpose of life? Okay, very peaceful society, everybody is doing what they want to do, but is that it? And what happens after the end of the life? They'll die again, they'll accumulate some karma, they'll be born again. So this has to go on as a eternal cycle? No, that is why there is the varna and ashrama. Ashrama is the spiritual order, is the spiritual stages of everyone, of brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. So that means even though you're in whatever category, a brahmana, based on your natural instincts, you could be a brahmana or a kshatriya or a vaishya or shudra. While you're in your particular category, while you're in your particular varna, you also have to accept a particular ashrama. And what does ashrama mean? Ashrama means it is actually a place of spiritual elevation. That is why wherever there are spiritual people, there is a spiritual society, we call it ashram, right? There is this ashram, that ashram. What is happening? The spiritual progress is happening over there. So that is why these four ashramas are there. Not just that ashram is not for somebody rarely, or some people who are interested in spirituality only, they should go and you know uh, participate in some ashrama. No, this ashrama is for everybody, no matter what stage you are. At every stage of your life, even whatever category you are, you have to follow and you have to be in a particular ashrama so that you are making spiritual progress. Again, why spiritual progress? As we talked about, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, ultimate liberation. One should be liberated from this, repeated cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. It is a chance to come out of this material tabernacle. So this Varnashrama system is actually designed so that everyone are very properly situated and are making spiritual progress in their life. So what is this Varnashrama system all about? What is the main purpose? How is it executed? So there is a nice shloka in Vishnu Purana that says this purpose of Varnashrama system. It says Varnashrama acharavata purushena parappuman Vishnu aradyate panta nanyattattosha karanam. So it is said this Varnashrama acharavata, this following of this Varnashrama, it is Purushena parappuman, actually for all the people to a- attain the highest, you know, goal. What is that? Vishnu Aradhyate Pantha. Actually worshipping the Lord Vishnu. Nanyat Tattosa Karanam. There is no other, alternative to pacify the Supreme Lord. So the translation is one can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu by proper discharge of the principles of Varna and Ashrama. So the purpose of Varna and Ashrama system is to actually worship Vishnu. And then it says there is no other alternative to pacifying the Lord by execution of the principles of Varnashrama system. So the point of this Varnashrama system is to actually, worship Vishnu and make spiritual progress in that particular way. And then what does it mean? Mostly the Varnashrama system it talks about different kinds of sacrifices for different people at different stages, right? We talked about Brahmanas, we talked about Kshatriya, we talked about Vaishya, we talked about Shudra. And then there are four stages of life. The Brahmacharya is one ashram from the age 0 to 25 years. There is the Grahastha ashram from age 25 to 50 years. And then there is the Vanaprastha ashram from 50 to 75 years. And there is the Sannyas ashram from 75 to 100 years. So the Varnashrama system, the Vedic regulations, they tell that at these different stages of life, you could be a brahmachari, you could be a grahastha, you could be, at whatever stage of your life, how many years old you are. And you could be in a particular varna, you could be a Vaishya, or you could be a Kshatriya, or you could be a Brahmana. At all these stages, there are some sacrifices mentioned. What are the rules and regulations? The rules and regulations are how to perform these sacrifices. And what is the sacrifice? Yagna means who is the Yagnapati? Yagneshwara is Krishna or Vishnu. So the sacrifices are meant to please Lord Vishnu. So this Varnashrama system, this scriptural rules and regulations are there to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And what happens when one satisfies the Supreme Lord Vishnu? He's actually making progress towards his ultimate aim of life. The ultimate goal of life is to attain mukti or moksha or liberation. What does that liberation mean? Mukti hitva anyata rupam swarupena vyavastiti. There is a swarupa, there is our original position. We are today in this material world in these temporary bodies. But there is an eternal situation, a liberated stage that is being in a spiritual permanent body. Satchit Ananda Vigraha. A Sat means an eternal body. And liberation means to enter Vaikunta. Few months ago, Vaikunta Ekadashi was celebrated. It's a very famous Ekadashi. People go to the temples of Lord Vishnu, they have darshan, they enter through the Vaikunta Dwara. Why is that so much, fascination in our Vedic culture to attain some mercy of the Lord, especially on the Vaikunta Ekadashi? Because the purpose of life, liberation means to enter Vaikunta, to go back to the spiritual world. And what is happening in the spiritual world? Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana is personally present in the Vaikunta planets. There are so many planets in the spiritual world, just like in the material world, there are so many planets. And every planet, there is a separate form of Lord Vishnu residing over there. And the devotees enter this planet and they serve the Lord Vishnu over there. And then there is an eternal, happy, blissful life. And on of all these Vaikuntha planets, it is mentioned that the supreme planet there is Goloka Vrindavana, where Lord Krishna is residing. So the devotees of Lord Narayana, they go to the one of the Vaikuntha planet, and the devotees of Lord Krishna, they go to this Goloka Vrindavana planet in Vaikuntha. In the same way, there is a planet for Lord Rama also. It's like known as Ayodhya. So the devotees of Lord Rama, they go to Ayodhya. and they reside with Lord Rama over there, and they serve the Lord, and they live a very happy, peaceful life. So this is the purpose of human life. We all originally belonged in Vaikunta, but somehow or other we have fallen into this material world. We have lost our position, and we are stuck, and we are stuck in this roller coaster of this different lives, and we are changing our bodies, sometimes as a human, sometimes as an animal, sometimes you know uh, advanced society, sometimes very degraded society, sometimes in different planetary systems, sometimes demigods, sometimes in the lower planets. So this is cycle is going on. Why? We have lost our original position, that we were in Vaikunta. Krishna Bulia Jiva Bhogavancha Kare. It said we have forgotten Lord Vishnu, we have forgotten Lord Krishna in Vaikunta. Why we have forgotten? Because we got an independent desire to enjoy separate from Krishna. So Krishna is like, oh, you want to enjoy separate from me? Then material world is the place. You can go and try it out. And here we only realize that there is no happiness, because everyone, are of the same mentality. Everyone came to enjoy separately, and when everyone comes to enjoy separately, there is only struggle, there is only strife. That is why everyone is quarreling, everyone is fighting, everyone wants to be the center of attraction, everyone wants everything for himself. There is a nice statement: there is enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. Everyone is greedy, everyone wants more and more, everyone wants everything for him, everyone wants others to work under him, everyone wants to become the Lord. So what is happening? This is all the imitation tendency. This is the disease. The disease that has brought us into this material world is to imitate the Lord, to be the center of attraction, to be the supreme, to have everyone working under him. But unfortunately, that is not our constitutional position. We are neither capable nor eligible to be in that position. Our constitutional position is the subordinate servant of the Supreme Lord. In a loving relationship, serve the Supreme Lord and live in bliss and peace and enjoy the property of the Supreme Lord. Right? He is our Father. But as a rebellious child who rebels with his father and he says, I want to be, in your position, I want to be the order giver, I want to rule the whole thing. The father says, unfortunately, here, if you can't do that, because you will only create havoc. So there's another place for you. You go there and you try it out. And all such children are put in one place, like a prison. Everyone, what is the situation in the prison? They don't follow any rules, regulation. They want to either steal or murder or things. All those people put together. Do you think there is ever a peaceful situation in the prison? Recently, there was a news. I think it was in Australia. There was a gang wars in prisons, and people beheaded themselves, and around 150 people died. Can you imagine? In prison, when people of all criminal minded people get together, what happens? Sometimes they get together, they create gangs, and they fight among each other and they kill themselves. Oh, we think, oh, very horrible thing going on inside prison. But unfortunately, this material world is also a prison. Compared to the spiritual world, compared to the Vaikunta, we are all prisoners in the material world. And unfortunately, that is what is happening. We are trying to live some kind of a sane, peaceful life. But what is happening? People are fighting against nations, against cities, against countries. And there is so much, every day in the news you see now there is this, military buildup between two different countries, and the whole world is in a panic state. If a war breaks out, it will be devastating. Why is all this? It is the exact same prisoner mentality, without any rules, regulations, and driven out of greed and lust and anger. I want to be the Lord. I want to be the center. I want to have all the power. I want to have all the money. I want to be in power. This is the disease. This is called Bhavaroga. This is the disease that has brought us into the material world. Just like, extreme case, they're put into the prison in this world, but this whole material world is like a prison. So that is why this Varnashrama system is very important, because it gives us the knowledge and rules and regulations and principles by which we can eradicate ourselves of this disease. It is like a self-healing mechanism. It is like a medicinal mechanism. It is a treatment. The Varnashrama system is a treatment. And how is the treatment? The treatment is by Vishnu Aradhyate, by worshipping Vishnu. What happens when we worship Vishnu? Because Vishnu, Krishna, is the purest of the pure. When you associate with the pure, when you start worshipping Vishnu, very simple worship, right? Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, Krishna says. When you offer a fruit, a flower, you chant his names. What is the devotional service? What is service to the Vishnu mean? chanting the glories of the Lord, chanting about his holy name, listening his glories. What happens is, because Krishna is the purest of the pure, we slowly start getting rid of our impurities. The purity starts flowing inside us. Just like if there is a nice agarbatti, in a temple hall, that is being incense is set up. You enter there, you feel the smell, and slowly after some time, your dress and your body will actually absorb that smell. And after that, you go out, somebody will come close to you. Immediately they'll say, oh, have you been to some temple or something? I can smell some nice agarbatti, from your dress. So what happens, in the same way, just like the aroma of the incense comes, and we become attached to it, and we become starts impacted by it. In the same way, when we worship Vishnu, our consciousness, our disease, our mentality to be the Lord, to be the owner, to be the master, the greed and lust and anger which is driving us to become more and more powerful, more and more richer, more and more, a boss of everything, that disease which is there will slowly get eradicated. Why? Because we'll start getting influenced by the purity of the Lord. A classic example the acharyas give is like a filthy place where there is dirt and mold and everything. Suddenly, if it is exposed to sunlight, slowly it will become sterilized. Even a moldy, filthy place, suddenly you move away something that is blocking the sun on falling it. And when the sun shine, the sun rays fall it, it actually, what happens? It will sterilize the place. It will become a pure place. No more infection, no more mold, no more fungus. Everything will be gone. In the same way, when we start worshipping Lord Vishnu, the purity, just like the sun rays, so powerful sun rays, in the same way, the power and the potency of the Lord's purity and his aura of the Lord, when He enters into our life, will actually cleanse all the misgivings. All the dirt and filth in our heart and in our consciousness will slowly go away. And what is the result? Lust, greed, anger, envy, jealousy will all slowly go away. We won't be lusty anymore for name, for fame, for power, for money. We will slowly understand what am I doing? Why do I want all this money, name, power? Anyway, I will lose one day all of these things. What am I trying to do? My real position is to go back to Vaikunta, to serve the Supreme Lord, to be in His association, to be in His subordinate position, and to serve Him and please Him. And in that way, I will actually be happy. Just like the rebellious child who is thrown out of the house, and he goes and he works hard, struggles, and faces so many difficulties, he will slowly start coming to his sense. Why did I leave my father? I was living in a nice palatial building, very nice facilities, I was enjoying very nicely. Everything my father was getting, I was naturally inheriting, and I was also enjoying. Unnecessarily, I picked up a fight with my father. That slowly he will change his ways, right? So that is the reason why this yagna and varnashrama system is mentioned, so that we can cleanse and purify ourselves and come back to our original situation and attain that mukti. What is that mukti again? Liberation. Mukti hitva anyata rupam. It is not attaining some special form, but swarupena vyavasthiti, coming back to our original position. So that is why this is very important. And Krishna, what is saying here, if one does not follow these rules and regulations, what will happen to him? Na siddhim avapnoti. He won't attain perfection. He won't be able to go back to the spiritual world. What happens if you are not going back to the spiritual world? Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. You're again and again taking birth in this cycle of repeated birth and death and old age and disease. How many miseries? One life, if you analyze from childhood to death, how many difficulties a person is facing, isn't it? From childhood, there are health problems, there are educational problems, there are financial problems, there are relationship problems, there is existential problems, there is natural problems, there is problem from the neighbors, from the enemy countries. There is all kinds of problems, starting from even an insect that is also causing a problem. Sometimes, it is summer, it is nice weather, let me go to the park, and some insect bite comes. Sometimes it becomes infection. I mean, there is happiness? There is only misery in this material world. And then Krishna is saying, so you won't attain perfection, you won't be able to come out of this. And then now sukham, there is no happiness. If you're stuck in the material world, where is the question of happiness? If you're struggling with birth, death, old age, disease, where is the question of happiness? Right? We have seen from the past 2 years, the COVID has come. There is variant after another variant. Where is happiness? Right? Then they say there will be another more variant. They're saying this problem. Well, even before COVID, does that mean people didn't have problem? COVID is just a different name to the misery. Before that, there was this, there is that, and if nothing, our day-to-day life is a struggle. Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. Misery is caused by our own mind and body. Misery is caused by other living beings, our relations, other animals, mosquitoes. And then Adi Daivika, misery is caused by natural disturbances. We keep hearing now California is in drought, and East Coast there is a severe weather storm. Like I've seen in the news, like 500,000 people are without power. Can you imagine in the East Coast when there is snowing, feet of snow, and it is like minus degrees, negative temperature, and you have no power? What a difficulty it is. And you keep observing news. There is constant, attack of these things. Either there is a snowstorm, or there is a hurricane, or tornado, or a forest fire, or a tsunami. Where is happiness? That is what Krishna is saying. Na sukham. If you are stuck in the material world, there is just no happiness. So much so that Krishna has labeled this place as Dukkhalayam, Ashashvatam. He says, this world is Dukkhalayam, this is place of misery. And then Na Param Gatim, the supreme destination, one will not be able to achieve. So this is the reason why we should follow the scriptural injunctions. One might think, oh, this is so inconvenient. So what, do this, do that, don't do that. Why so many inconveniences? But you can just analyze a simple example of the traffic and the road. There are so many rules and regulations, isn't it? There are lanes to be followed. There is the speed limits. There are the red light, yellow light. There's a green light. There is stop sign. There is yield sign. There are so many things. Even driving, if you don't know all these things, you won't get a driver license. One might think, oh, why so many? What is this? I know how to drive. You turn the steering wheel. I know how to give brake. I know how to give acceleration. I can just drive. What is all this nonsense? So many things I have to learn. Well, all those rules and regulations are to understand and follow, then we will have a peaceful journey. Everyone will have a peaceful journey. Everyone will share the road and the same place. Everyone will be able to achieve their destination. So, in the same way, just like, there are rules and regulations, they're actually restricting us, they're regulating us, but actually leading us to a peaceful and harmonious situation on the road. In the same way, the scriptural injunctions of do's and don'ts are actually leading us to have a peaceful, happy life and ultimately achieve the destination. Right? So now here comes the question. So what is it that the rules and regulations, this varnashrama system, and this following the sacrifices and performing yagnas and satisfying Lord Vishnu, how do we go about doing all these things? Nowadays there is no varnashrama system. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Everyone is a Shudra. No one even knows who is a Brahmana, who is a Kshatriya, who is a Vaishya, who is a Shudra. Nobody knows. And what sacrifice has to be done? What nobody is undergoing the training of these ashramas. How many of us have been to a brahmacharya ashram from the age 0 to 25 years? We have not been in a brahmacharya ashram. We have not learned the Vedic knowledge. We don't know what sacrifice has to be done. And if you're above 25 years and you're married, you're in a grahastha ashram. Is our house? Graha means home. And the home should be as good as a grahastha ashram. Is my home like an ashram? Is there worship of Lord Vishnu and sacrifices being done? I don't know. We are not. This whole knowledge has been lost. This whole knowledge of this Shastra Vidim is lost. People don't know what Varna they are in, what Ashrama they are in, what sacrifice, what Yagna has to be done. Now, how do we attain perfection? Krishna is saying, well, if you don't follow this, na Shastra Vidim Ustrujya, where is your, our Siddhim? You won't get perfection, you won't get happiness, you won't attain the supreme destination. So it is a very puzzling situation. What do we do? And that is where the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, sends his pure devotees. What does the pure devotees do? Based on the time, place, and circumstance, after assimilating all the knowledge of the Shastras and under the guidance of their spiritual master, they give us the rules and regulations. And in this day and age, we are so fortunate that Swami Prabhupada, our spiritual master, out of his causeless mercy, out of the mercy of the Supreme Lord, the Lord sent him actually. These great acharyas, they don't just happen. It's not somebody or something, one fine day he woke up and he became an acharya. No, they actually come from the spiritual world. They are known as Nitya Siddha. We in the material world, we are known as Nitya Baddha. Baddha means bounded. Nitya Baddha, we are bonded. We are imprisoned in this material world. Siddha means Nitya Siddha is always eternal. Is perfect. Siddhi, we are seeing the word here, Siddhi. Siddhi means perfected being. Nitya Siddha means eternally liberated, eternally perfected being. So the spiritual masters, the acharyas in the Guru Shishya Parampara, these great acharyas like Swami Prabhupada or his spiritual master Bhaktivedanta Maharaj or his spiritual master, and like this, these people are Nitya Siddha devotees. They are perfected beings, and out of their causeless mercy for compassion for the soul and on the instructions of the Supreme Lord, they personally enter this material world and they give us the directions and they guide us. It is like a perfectly well-to-do citizen, a government servant. He accepts to enter the prison and preach to them and talk to them, right? Just because he's in the prison, let's say the local governor enters the prison, doesn't mean he has also done some crime activity. He has come to instruct the people. He says, hey, we have created this new rules and regulations. If you follow this, we will actually release you from the prison. Stop doing these nonsensical things. So that is what the spiritual master is. He comes from the spiritual world, and because now today we don't have this varnashrama system, we are not able to perform any yagna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, came 500 years ago and introduced a different kind of yagna. It is known as the Sankirtana yagna. It is this yagna, the sacrifice, the act of pleasing the Lord by performing Sankirtana. Very simple. And what is Sankirtana? In this Kali Yuga, it is this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In the Kali Shantarana Upanishad, it is said that, this is the mantra, this Hare Krishna mantra is the mantra for this Kali Yuga. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevalam kalau nasti eva gatiranyata. The holy name of Krishna, kalau, in this Kali Yuga is the way. And it is said this 16 worded mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. This is a very powerful mantra specifically designed for Kali Yuga. Right? Like they're saying this COVID, Pfizer is going to launch a new version of their vaccine, which includes the Omicron variant. That means it has ability to save one from the Omicron variant. You see, so it is very specific version of the vaccine, isn't it? So in the same way, this mantra is a very specific version for this Kali Yuga. Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. Nato paratara upaya sarva vedeshu drishyate. It said you won't find a better. Nato paratara upaya. Paratara means supreme, better. Upaya, you won't find a better solution. Sarva vedeshu drishyate. Even if you go through all the Vedas, you won't find a better solution for Kali Yuga. So, out of the causeless mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have been given this Hare Krishna mantra. And the spiritual master Swami Prabhupada, he has come and he has spread this movement, the Hare Krishna movement, and he has given us the teachings of Bhagavad Gita so that we just don't blindly, oh, somebody saying Hare Krishna, you have to accept. No, no, no. With all authentic, authorized, explanations of the Vedic literature, it is being presented. And just by chanting this Sankirtana Yagna, it is as good as performing Varnashrama system, all those yagnas. And actually, Varnashrama system will only take us to the fourth stage, which is Dharmartha Kama Moksha. But actually, there is a fifth stage, which was not revealed until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Beyond Dharmartha Kama Moksha, there is one more. These are known as Purushartha, the perfections for Purushas. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed there is one more stage beyond moksha, which is even more valuable, which is even more the highest. It says Prema Pumarto Mahan. So beyond this four Purushartha, there is the Prema Pumartha. There is the highest perfection, that is Prema, that is attaining love for God. And can you imagine? This Sankirtan Yagna is capable to actually take us to the fifth stage of existence, which is the highest stage of our existence, which is actually developing pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we are so fortunate that even though we are unfortunate in Kali Yuga, Varnashrama system has been lost. We have become fortunate. Why? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come and has given even a powerful Sankirtan Yagna mechanism by which we can actually attain the highest stage of life. So this is what is the current yagna of this Kali Yuga. Even though Varnashrama system is not there, Sthane Sthita Sutikatan, wherever you are, whatever position you are, you can chant Hare Krishna mantra and attain perfection. Now, just like there are do's, there are don'ts also. Rules and regulations means like the traffic signal says At light, you should go, but at the same time, if it is yellow, you should slow down, and if it is red, you should stop. So the green light for us is chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But there is a red light also. There are the don'ts, and there are some more greens also. So I will tell the do's you all might be already doing, but it is good to revise and remind ourselves. So chanting Hare Krishna mantra is one of a big do, like a green light. You should do it. And there is eating prasadam, honoring Krishna prasadam. Offer foodstuff to the Lord and eating prasadam. This is the second green light. The third green light is actually reading these books, reading Bhagavad Gita, reading Prabhupada's books. It actually boosts our first and second activities. It will help us to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. It will give us confidence and it will give us reasoning to eat prasadam. And the fourth one is to, you know, associate with devotees, satsanga, sadhu sangha, wherever you are, however you are, virtual association or physical association. If you can get association of devotees, it will boost your, just like for any activity there is a club, there is a society, right? It's just common sense, right? If you want to become a very good expert in a particular field, a sport or a game or something, you join that club, you join that society. Everyone is talking about it, everyone is thinking about it, everyone is coming up with ways to improve their skills. In the same way, in association of devotees, everybody is talking about how to improve in their spiritual life. So association of devotees, eating prasadam, chanting Hare Krishna, reading the spiritual books, these are the do's. These are the four things. In simple terms, they're known as ABCD of spiritual life progress, given by Swami Prabhupada, given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A is for association, B is for books, C is for chanting, and D is for diet, prasadam. Right? So these are the do's. So like the green light, at this time you can go, you should go, you should take advantage. But then there are the don'ts also. The don'ts are also very simple. They're just four. I'll just mention again. It is to avoid meat eating because it breaks the principle of compassion. When you're indulging in meat eating, you're killing animals, it breaks the whole pillar of compassion. Our heart will become like hard, stone hearted. No. So no meat eating and no intoxication. It breaks the principle of austerity, tapasya. We are supposed to regulate, control ourselves. But when we take intoxication, there is no exercise of control. We become as good as animals. And that actually happens. When people take intoxication, they drink these alcoholic drinks, it, kind of subdues our brain mechanism and it brings us to the level of animal. Our intelligence memory is lost. That is why people, when they're drunk, they do very heinous activities, they behave like animals. So the principle of austerity is lost when intoxication is taken. And then no gambling. The principle of truthfulness is lost when one indulges in gambling, right? And then no illicit relationships. The principle of cleanliness is lost. Just like one should maintain himself healthy to be able to lead a successful proper life. So these are bad habits that should be avoided so that we are healthy. And when you're healthy, you can start progressing, right? If you're healthy, you want to go on a walk, then you can walk. But if you're unhealthy, you can't make any progress. You're stuck, you're sitting in your hospital bed, right? So walking towards our destination, the green, the do's we will be able to do when we avoid the don'ts. So no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit relationships, and no gambling. So these are the four things we should avoid. And the four things: chanting Hare Krishna, eating prasadam, associating with devotees, and reading spiritual books. These are the do's. And just these four don'ts and these four do's, if you do, it is as good as performing all the Vedic rules and regulations performed, provided in the scriptures, which is known as the Varnashrama system. And it is even better, even before, higher, because it is actually giving us the highest benefit. And that is why in Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, one who follows this Sankirtan Yagna is the most intelligent, the Sumedashaha. It said, Lord Chaitanya, when he came, it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam about Lord Chaitanya's incarnation. It said, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Akrishnam Sango Pangasta Parsadam Yagnair Sankirtanair Prayer Jajantehi Sumedashaha. See, Yagnair Sankirtanair Prayer. The Sankirtan Yagna who does Jajantehi Sumedashaha. They're worshipping the Supreme Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. Sumedashaha, they're the most intelligent. Medasha means intelligent. Sumedasha means very intelligent. So we all have opportunity to become that very intelligent person just by following the principles of Sankirtan Yagna. and following the do's and the don'ts, and we all can attain the perfection. And what happens when we do this? Exact opposite, right? Krishna is saying here, if you don't follow, you will not get perfection, you won't get happiness, and you won't achieve supreme destination. Which means if you follow, we will get perfection. We will go back to spiritual world. We will get happiness. We can be happy in this world, and after this, eternally we can be happy. Sukham and Param Gatim. We will finally reach the ultimate destination also. So I'll stop here. I'll request everyone to please take this matter seriously in your own lives, and take as much advantage as possible of all the facilities provided by Lord in our life, to increase more and more the do's and reduce more and more the don'ts. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Shila Prabhupada.